Hello guys, so I just wanted to get on here, do a little update. I have so many things in the works for the channel. Oh guys, it's just one of those days, guys. I don't know how you feel, but I'm just like blah. Everything seems blah, you know? Everything seems super blah today in this neck of the woods. I'm not sure why. I think it's cloudy and it's just like whatever, you know? I don't know. Anybody else feeling yucky today? And the Mercury retrograde is really fucking me up. Nothing, I can't complete anything. Like any electrical shit gets fucked up. If I go live, the voice will be fucked up. Everybody I watch on live is fucked up. The Mercury retrograde right now is fucking shit up. Okay? That's just my opinion. Anyway. Let's talk about a few things. So yes, I'll be continuing the 1122 King Road Creator Series, deep diving into the DMs and exploring the theory that he laid out for us. Oh gosh, another yawn. Sorry guys. Yawns are contagious, by the way. Did you ever notice that? Like people, any of you guys watching me might feel like you have to yawn right now. I'm so suggestible that if someone just says the word yawn, I have to yawn. So I kind of feel like I have to yawn again right now. See? So I looked that up because it's pretty interesting, right? Like how come I yawn and then everybody wants to yawn, or somebody yawns and I want to yawn, or they say yawn and I want to yawn. It's a bonding. It's something that's bonding. Before we spoke, before we had words, we communicated via our faces, our, you know, sounds, I guess, and yawning is one of them. Yawning is just one of those things that people do when they're tired and they feel relaxed. Oh, it's fucking crazy because the more I talk about yawning, the more I want to fucking yawn. Maybe that's a good way to treat insomnia, right? Just don't talk about falling asleep. Just talk about yawning, you know? Just fucking watch a bunch of people yawning. I bet you that would make me fall asleep. I'm actually getting tired. All right, I have to stop self-hypnotizing while I'm driving. Just joking, guys. Anyway, let's talk about the Gonsalves family. Right after I yawn. Hold on. Oh, sorry, guys. It's fucking crazy, man. Let's talk about the Idaho 4 case, all right? Because now that we have all this information, and I'm trying to fill all of the fucking blanks in, right? And it's so hard. But if you just look at like some of the stuff we've learned, okay? Number one, there's still no connection. There's no connection between Brian and any of the victims. None. No connection, okay? No connection with Brian and the victims. No connection with Brian and the surviving victims. No connection with any family members. And what does that mean really? And tell me if I'm wrong, but from what I've gathered, what this actually means is that there's no evidence in any computer, phone, any kind of tracking system that someone could possibly have. There is nothing that shows that Brian Kohberger even knew any of the people that lived at 1122 King Road Clue. There's no evidence. He didn't text them. He didn't DM them. He didn't follow them. He didn't look at their profiles obsessively. Okay? There's nothing in his computer that shows he was following them until after the murder. He Googled the murder. Everybody fucking did that. Stop it with that shit that's suspicious. It's not, period. It's not suspicious, number one, because he lived close by. Number two, because he's studying criminology. Stop it. Of course he looked it up. If he didn't look it up, it would be fucking weird. Okay? That would be weird. The omission of him looking up the murders would be more weird than him actually looking up the murders, considering he lived miles from the place. The GPS shows he spent time in Moscow shopping, which a lot of people from Poland do. Okay? And that's his field of study. Of course he fucking looked up. If he didn't look it up, and there was no evidence that he looked it up after the murder, that would be more fucking problematic to me. Okay? So stop saying that's a fucking issue. The fact that his Wi-Fi was within a few hundred feet of the house, he maybe knew somebody that lived in the neighborhood. I mean, is that possible? There's a lot of people in that radius. They're saying, oh, like 23 times his cell phone dinged near that house. Well, how many towers are in Moscow? I think there's 2. So anytime he's in Moscow, it's going to ding either near that house or another side of town. It's not possible for it to not. Again, that would be more weird. If you would pull a bunch of people's phones from Pullman, Washington, that go to WSU, and his demographic, like his age, his demographic, he's a single guy, whatever, and see how many times they were within 100 feet of that house, I bet you most people would be within that house even more, because there's not that many towers. So again, not inculpatory at all to me. Next, the only evidence, because I don't count Dylan as eyewitness testimony. They tried so hard to make her an eyewitness, and she's just not credible, period. I have my doubts as to whether the girl was complicit or not. So she's definitely not fucking somebody that is a credible witness. Okay, not at all. Neither is Bethany. Neither one of them. They're both bullshitting in their interview. I don't know why. Just because they're lying does not mean they killed anybody. I'm going to preface that. However, why are they lying? Okay, what do they know? So, no, they're not credible witnesses. So they don't have them, okay? You can have them come up. You can have Dylan tell her story about opening the door, closing the door, opening the door, locking the door, closing the door, hearing this, hearing that. But the jury is going to be like, yeah, that sounds like bullshit. So they're not credible. So what do they really have with Brian? They don't have his car being there, because we now know the PCA describing the car driving the fuck around the whole night was not Brian. The PCA is describing Molly McMichaels, which is what Sleuthy Goosey said a long time ago, that car sure looks like it's probably the DoorDash driver, and that the DoorDash driver is probably Brian. It's actually Molly McMichaels. She's more fucking culpable, I think, than anybody else. She was there at the time of the fucking murder, or within minutes of it. So, like, hello, okay? She's also a known informant and works with Thompson, calls him her friend. So, you know, this is sketchy as fuck. She's got people waiting for her while she's doing her new job as a DoorDash driver. They're waiting in a car. What? I mean, it doesn't make any sense, right? We already know none of that makes sense. She's, again, not a credible witness. The police aren't credible. Why? Because when you look at what they're doing, they're trampling all over the scene. Some wear booties, some don't. What that tells me is you're supposed to wear booties. And so the people that aren't wearing booties are breaking rules. And if you want us to prosecute someone and perhaps put him on death row or call him guilty as fuck, that's not good enough, okay? It's just not good enough. Death should be taken much more fucking seriously and should be respected. When someone dies, the scene of where they died should be taken so much more respectfully than these people show. I would be so mad if that were my children that died in that house in some way, and that's how that house was treated. I would want to turn that piece of property upside down. I would be so angry, and I don't know how any of these families are not as livid as I am about it. I mean, I'm not kidding. They disrespected every victim of this crime, the way that they treated this. Ashley Jennings shows up immediately after the murder. You guys all saw that, right? Lana's bringing the bombs one after another. It's hard to even keep up with half this shit. Ashley Jennings, what prosecutor or assistant prosecutor shows up at a scene like this right away? Off hours. I don't even think it's typical for them to show up at all. Okay? So there's something fishy there to begin with. But regardless, disrespecting the victims AF. Okay? Complete disrespect of those victims. And then they decide to demolish the whole thing. We don't want to think about these people at all. Let's get rid of it. And let's just remember, the memorial is not there. It's not where the house was demolished. They're going to do something else with that property. There's something about the property that's very special. Clearly something very special about that property, that location. Okay? And if I was the parents, I'm telling you what, man, if I was the parents of one of those kids, I would that earth would be scorched. You wouldn't be able to grow a thing on that earth where they died. You wouldn't be able to grow anything. I would scorch the earth in that spot. Turn it upside down so there's nothing that will ever thrive or be built on that property again. I would curse that land if that was my children that died there, because they have not gotten justice, and it's fucked. All right? Let's just talk about all the other weird shit. Remember, Mr. G said we would find things out that might be a little embarrassing to their family. What are those things? What are those things? The reason I'm asking is because, well, we know that the morning of the murder, when the Gonzalez family were told that something happened, maybe Kelly was shot, nobody got in a car and drove to the university. I'm just saying what I would do. I'm not saying they did anything wrong. I'm saying what I would do. And I don't know why they didn't do it. And you know what? Maybe I wouldn't do this, but why the fuck were they not in a car going like $1.50 towards the university when they found this out immediately? I don't understand. I wouldn't be waiting for anybody to tell me shit. And the Gonzalez family seems to be the type of family that feels the same way I do. You're not telling me anything. I'm going to find out on my own. And I'm just in shock that they didn't just end up there at the scene. They seem like the type of people that would be there at the scene. Now, Maddie Mogen's mother apparently was driving towards the scene. That makes sense. Just odd, right? Very odd. They were treated like shit by the police, too. They weren't told till much later on in the day. A bunch of other people already knew. So it's just weird. And then don't forget, the morning of, Mr. Gonzalez says he went to the urgent care. Even Christy said it was really weird. He never gets sick, but he had she said the whole left, I'm trying to remember. I think it was the whole right side of his face was swollen. He was diagnosed with Ramsay-Hunt syndrome. Ramsay-Hunt syndrome typically occurs when you've had shingles, and it can go into the ear, it can cause blindness, it causes all kinds of stuff. The one thing that you have with Ramsay-Hunt is a disgusting, awful rash. It's like a herpes type rash, okay? And it doesn't go away in a day or two. If you know anybody that's ever had shingles, think about how long it takes for shingles to go away. It would take at least a week, or if not more. So I don't understand how when we see them like 3 or 4 days later, he has no swelling or redness on his face, yet he was diagnosed with Ramsay-Hunt syndrome the morning of the murders. So my question is, was he misdiagnosed? That's the only logical explanation for me. Because Ramsay-Hunt doesn't go away in a day or two. It doesn't work that way. So I feel like maybe he was misdiagnosed, and that's kind of weird. So whatever. Anyway. Moving on from that, let's talk about the 3 guys on Banfield. We get the Banfield camera because Lana from Truth and Transparency. I was just hanging out with Laura, that's why I said that. But Lana from Truth and Transparency shows it to us. And this is where we see the Tweedledee, Tweedledum, those 3, the Alpha Kappa Lambda guys. They're getting pulled over for walking while drunk. And go ahead, give me the reasons why they did that again in the comments. I still don't care. It's the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Just like when you're on did you know that if you're on a bicycle and you're intoxicated, you can get a driving while intoxicated, like not a vehicle, but you can actually get a DUI while you're driving, like a motorcycle. Not a motorcycle, bicycle. If you're riding a bicycle and you're intoxicated, you can get a fucking ticket from the police. In certain states. I know in Pennsylvania you can, because I have a relative that got one, okay? He lost his license from DUI, and so he was using a bike, but he would still take the bike to the bar. When he left the bar, he got pulled over by the cops for driving his bicycle while intoxicated. I mean, it's pretty fucked up if you ask me. I think the only person you're going to hurt on a bike is yourself. Although I guess it's possible you could fuck with people in traffic and cause a problem, but it's just kind of weird. Anyway, more likely just targeted. But walking while intoxicated is also a problem. I get it. There's such a thing as, what do they call it? Oh gosh, what's it called? Like a public nuisance or public spectacle or disorderly conduct, right? That's usually what it is. Like if you're a fucking shit-faced and you're in public and you're acting like an idiot, you'll usually get a disorderly conduct charge. I guess if you're underage, then they're going to attack you with like underage drinking, all right? And so that's what they do to these college kids apparently, just to boost the income of the university. Again, shady tactics, shady as fuck. Walking intoxicated is not fucking causing any problems. I get it if there's like hundreds of fucking kids walking around, you know, like fucking shit-faced and tripping and falling and hurting themselves. It'd be one thing. But like those guys, let's just say it again, those guys did not look like anything was going on. They didn't slur when they talked. They didn't stumble when they walked. I never saw that ever. And if somebody saw it, please let me know. They did not appear intoxicated whatsoever. I'm not saying they didn't have any alcohol on them, but they were what I would call clinically fucking sober. Okay? Regardless, they get pulled over, they get talked down, whatever. Remember what they said in the field? I didn't know if you were a real person, which makes me think there were games afoot that night. If someone is being told to stop by what they believe could be a police officer and doesn't, and their response is, I didn't think you were real, what that means to me, tell me what you think, what that means to me is there are games afoot that evening in which people are impersonating cops or people are impersonating other people. Maybe they're in costumes because they're playing a game. And this goes back to my other theory about some type of game being played. October 31st, we've got Ethan with that ball, and I know they're doing a movie. I know it's that movie. I looked it up. I can't remember it, but they're like, aha, we have this whatever. And then you've got the Alpha Gamma Rho characters dressed up weirdly, okay? Not like Halloween, but some other kind of game thing. Are these people playing some kind of fucking game that they took too far, okay? So we've got Alpha Kappa Lambda walking across the field. They get, quote, pulled over for walking while drunk, okay? And then we see in the background, like, was it 4 people that were running from the 1122 King Road area? This was never addressed by the press, never addressed by the police, ever, never, ever, okay? That's a problem because, once again, the public is finding shit and pointing it out before the police are. You've got these fighting narratives because you've got the Gonsalves family who has been a leader in the narrative for this. They've been a leading proponent. First it was stalking, then it wasn't stalking. First they were doing a good job, the police, then they weren't doing a good job, the police. First they were adamant the house cannot come down, then they didn't do dick about it when it came down. Okay, their narrative's constantly shifting. They lost a child. I'm not shitting on them. I'm merely stating facts. That's it. I have nothing against the Gonsalves family. I pray for them to find peace in the fact that their daughter died and it was so brutally done. I pray for all these families to find peace. I am just saying that these are the facts. This is what happens. And you have to say to yourself, what does it mean? I don't know what it means. All I know is it's fucking weird. I'm asking other people, what do you think it means? I think there was some kind of game being played that night. I don't know what. I don't know if they have some like long-standing thing where there's something you steal and you keep it in your house and you're the winner. Kind of like when you do, I'm trying to think. They do that with like football, fantasy football, and people come up with these like really crazy looking trophies and shit. This is me. This is my psychic. Sorry, that's my psychic. It's like, I'm sorry, whenever Lil Wayne said that, I'm like, brother, I know exactly what you're talking about. Sorry, that's my psychic. So, yeah, sorry, my psychic's coming out right now. That's what I'm envisioning. I have no idea if it's real or not. Anyway, the other weird part is, okay, let's just look into the Alpha Kappa Lambda fraternity. Well, geez, what's weird about that? Well, the president is it Brian Green or Nick Green? The president's Nick Green. I didn't look this up, but I've been told for over a year that is Scott Green's son. Scott Green, just Scott Coomer Green. Scott S. Coomer Green. President, University of Idaho. Hangs out, operates in circles of lawyers, but is not an actual attorney. From that area, came back, was making bank in New York City, decided to come back to his roots. And he comes back, and what do you know? He comes back, and when he comes back, what happens? Well, his whole thing, his whole shtick is safety on campus. Now, I don't know if Idaho wasn't a safe campus before this. They did have a couple mishaps. There was that professor that shot the student in himself. He sounded a little off. But outside of that, I mean, they probably, I didn't know that there was anything in particular dangerous about the University of Idaho campus. But he made it a point that was going to be his thing, right? And look, he wrote a book all about the safety shit. Isn't that convenient for him? That was his theme. That was his theory. And then look what happens when he comes back on a property that his parents once owned. Now, who knows over the years how that property has changed? We know with just in a couple of years it's changed quite a bit. We saw where there was a lot of trees growing around it with the garage in the front. Then we saw it with the garage in the front without the trees and a different door. And then we see it without the garage at all. It was completely taken away. And I found that clip and I showed it to you guys. Why it was taken away. They say they were basically rezoning the area, and that garage was way too fucking close to the street. And that's why they say they changed it. Now, I'd like to look into a little more of that guy who was making all these proposals. And of course, the one guy, and if you saw my video on it, he makes a joke about how it's a 1122 King Road, but isn't it really Queen Road? And he cracks up laughing about it. Yeah, it's real fucking funny, dude. Like 4, 5, 6 years later, decades later, we're all still saying, why the fuck is it King Road? Why is it King Road? Molly McMichaels wants to know that. Brian Koberger wants to know that. Anybody who's driven down that fucking road and had to drive around forever wants to know, motherfucker, why didn't you call it Queen Road? Well, he says it's because it's a private road. Anyway, you got to admit it's interesting. It's 1122 King Road on Queen. Kings, Queens. You got the 1122. You've got the G201, Brian's apartment. You've got the Jacks. So what do we got? We got how many Jacks? What's a full house? Because we got Jack Decor, we got Jack Showalter, we got 2 Jacks, a king and a queen, right? It's too much Masonic symbolism going on here. It's too much. It's like playing in our faces too much, you know? And it's so hard. I know it's so hard, even for me. I say this, I notice I've been saying this lately. It's a favorite new term of mine, which is, which is, I don't know if I believe it, but I know it, right? So like, if you know something, it's just one of those things that you know. It's like a truth in your soul. You just know it, and you can't even explain it, and you don't even need to argue about it or get upset about it, because you just know it, right, to be true. And these are certain things we all have, right? There's certain things we all have that are like this. We just know it to be true. We don't know how to explain it. Nobody taught it to us. We just know this to be true. These are simple truths in life, right? We don't need anybody to tell us why or prove it. Well, this is one of those things. I don't know if I believe it, but I feel like I know it. And that is, this is some type of obvious operation. I think people did die. I think people weren't supposed to die, or at least the people that died of them, I think there were a couple or maybe one or two that were supposed to be spared that somehow got into the mix of it. There's a book, I think it's called Catch-22. I don't know if it's that book or there's another short story, but there's a short story in which this is what happens when you play with evil things. A man wants his wife's lover to be killed, okay? And he knows that the wife and the lover are constantly hanging out at this one place and, whatever. And she says she's going on a business trip, but she's really with her lover in this hotel or whatever. So he hires a hitman to kill the lover because he figures, look, I'll kill the lover. She'll want to come back to me, right? Well, when the hitman goes there to kill the lover, unfortunately, the wife ends up seeing it. And so the hitman kills the wife too, because he doesn't want any witnesses. And he doesn't know why he was asked to kill this man. He just knows that he was asked to kill the man. Well, when the hitman lets the guy know, well, he doesn't even have to let him know. He just, he burns himself. And he's just like, yeah, I did the job. And this guy's like, okay, what happened? He's like, well, unfortunately, there was a lady there at the time, and I had to take her out too. And then the hitman hangs up, and the guy just is devastated. Why? Because he tried to fucking do something that was evil. He tried to have this man killed, okay? So his wife would come back to him. The man didn't know that. He ends up killing her because she's an eyewitness. So he loses on both fronts. It's never a good idea. So in my opinion, that's what happened in this situation. In my opinion, this is my psychic talking again. My opinion is something happened here in which someone unleashed their murderous rage and they were not supposed to. Someone said something in that house to somebody and they lost their ever-loving fucking minds and killed people. And that's what I think happened. I think that the police know who this person was. I think that the police know who Bryan Kohberger is. I think that because Bryan Kohberger is not maybe saying something or whatever, they decided to fucking nail him for this, okay? I still don't believe Bryan Kohberger killed anyone. I do believe that he saw what happened in some capacity. I do. And in the back of my mind, I still remember, and many of you may remember, the 4chan post in which someone says that Bryan Kohberger is either their cousin or their brother. There could have been two posts, but basically stating that Bryan Kohberger was doing lines of coke, using the K-bar to cut, and Brent Kopaka ended up taking it with him and went stalking the girls. And Bryan's phone ran out of charge because Brent was charging his phone charging his phone on the car charger, okay? And that's a funny vehicle. That's hilarious. 0 to 60 in 30 seconds on the van. That's fucking funny. I love people with this sense of humor. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh, I know. So yeah, so I think that there's a game being played. There's somehow, I haven't completely put it all together yet, but it's starting to kind of settle in my brain, a lot of this stuff. It's like my brain, I sift all this shit through, and then the good stuff settles down to the bottom, and then it grows. It's kind of where I'm at right now with this case. I feel like any wild speculation you might have about this case is probably not wild enough. That's my opinion. I think there's some really wild, crazy shit that happened here that, honestly, the only way we'll ever know is through people that might come forward and write, a fictional tale of what might have happened or something. Kind of like OJ. Remember when OJ said, "If I did it"? Did you ever read that book? It's fucking scary. It's scary. And honestly, this is going to sound gullible, but when I looked into the OJ case, I could see why they let him off. OJ should have been found not guilty. It doesn't mean that he was not guilty, but he should have been found not guilty based on that case. You know, based on that case, he should have been found not guilty, and I'm glad that he was found not guilty. Look, he had his karma. Anybody who believes he didn't get his karma, look at the man. Is he even alive still? I think he might be, but the man it's just a caricature of what he once was. He's gotten his karma. He might have got off not guilty. That's fine. That was needed for the collective. That was needed for the collective consciousness of all the black people that have been fucked over by the justice system. It doesn't make up for it, but you know what? It helps. It helps. Sometimes that's the way that shit has to roll. That doesn't mean that his wife that he murdered didn't get her justice, peace, and karma. He still got his karma. His life was miserable after that. And I think he ended up in prison too. And God, OJ's just one of those characters. He's an enigma, honestly. I have a lot of questions about the OJ Simpson situation, that whole thing. But I don't know if you remember Chris Rock. He used to be funny at that time. He's like, I'm not saying he did it, but if I divorced my wife and she was letting her new boyfriend drive around in my Ferrari, I might be upset. But I don't know if any of that's true. So anyway, Chris Rock was controversial with all that shit. He was actually funny. So back to the Kohberger case. The last thing I want to bring up before I close out on this one, because there's so many things, right? But just sketching and thinking about all this shit, right? It's like, well, does Alpha Kappa Lambda, who happens to have Nick Green as the president, his father, Scott Coomer Green, if that is in fact true, people have said this many times, I need to verify it for myself. I should. I really should. I think it's because the people who told me to be true, I generally trust, but I don't want to keep saying if it's not true. So I'm going to say possibly his son. He kind of looks like him. And then you've got, let's see, who else was it? Steve Gonsalves Jr. Let's just say it, okay? What the fuck is up with that, Steve Gonsalves Jr.? Baby Gonzo. We had a baby Gonzo and we had a baby Gooch. I remember a Gooch. Okay, now I know there's Vicky Gooch, but I remember a Gooch being called on a lot in the early fraternity stuff. They were always talking about Gooch, baby Gooch. There was a girl who had a picture with baby Gooch, and there was a guy and another guy. I'm trying to remember who this was. Was it Hunter Johnson? It might have been Hunter Johnson. This is coming back to me, guys. Hunter Johnson, a guy with the last name Gooch, and a girl who had some kind of injury to her clavicle. Wow, this is really pulling out of that fucking elephant brain right now. Anybody remember this? I got to look into it. I do, because that shit has disappeared. All of those pictures have been gone forever. And the only reason it interests me is because the name Gooch and Vicky Gooch. And she was obviously very much interested in finding out what happened, more so than any other police. But that name stuck out. And this person kind of looks like Steve Gonsalves Jr. It's not him. And I'm wondering if maybe that's Steve Gonsalves' cousin. Remember, Mr. Gonsalves said that they have cousins that go to that university, okay? So what I'm trying to understand is, if the Gonsalves family has cousins at that university, who are they? Who are those people? Okay? Because Christy said her niece called and said Kaylee had been shot. Who is that? Do we know who that is? And where was Steve Gonsalves the night this happened? Steve Gonsalves Jr., baby Gonzo, the one who's now engaged, or I think actually already married, to the gorgeous, fucking gorgeous. Can you get more gorgeous than Olivia Vitale? Honestly, I don't think it's possible. He really scored with Olivia. Really fucking scored with her. She is one beautiful woman. She could have anybody, honestly. So he scored with her. He looks like a nice guy, though. He does. And they got a lot to offer. So good for them. I'm happy for him. But I still have a question. Where were you? Did your parents say where you were? I think it's important to tell people so people don't need to question it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Tell me you're wrong. You dumbass. I didn't go to University of Idaho. I wasn't in the fraternity Alpha Kappa Lambda. I wasn't even there then. I graduated 3 years ago. You don't know what you're talking about. Tell me. But if you don't tell me, then I'm going to say, what's going on? Right? Like, what the fuck is going on? Because to me, it looks like you were a member of Alpha Kappa Lambda. You were at the booth. They took that off their page, but you were at the charity event, and now you're gone. So, like, I'm just so confused by that. And were you just visiting a cousin, or were you part of Alpha Kappa Lambda? I also saw another video where you were walking into Alpha Kappa Lambda. And that would make sense because they have some explaining to do. If you weren't home that weekend, you were somewhere else with your parents, your friends, whatever. The night your sister died, 3 of your fraternity brothers were on a field less than a couple 100 feet away. Why have you never called that out? Why have you never said anything about that? Maybe it's not our business. Unfortunately, the way this shit went down, it is our business because they put this on the public. See, when you put on the public some gruesome, horrific shit, like a quadruple murder of a bunch of beautiful young college students who had everything going for them, who we can't see any reason why something like this would happen to them. When you put that into the public consciousness, of course, you're going to have a large percentage of people who just eat up the fucking mainstream media and still think Bryan Kohberger is an incel who couldn't get laid and was jealous and was stalking them and they must have proof. But if you're not one of those people who's an auto believer, who knows that this is bullshit, that there isn't any more evidence, if anything, it's just more proof that Kohberger wasn't there, somebody else did this. If you're one of those people, right? You're going to ask questions. I'm going to keep asking questions because I'm done being traumatized by shit when I don't really know what happened. I don't really know what happened here. I still don't know what happened. When I look at the autopsies, which to be fair, I haven't actually sat down and looked at them in an academic fashion, and I should. But from what I've seen, you got to be kidding me if you think that you're going to make me... There's no way Bryan Kohberger did that shit unless he is like a Green Beret, or unless he is Mossad, or unless he is some super fucking soldier with an implant in his head, or unless you drugged the motherfucker with ketamine, planted him with a bunch of shit, made him do a bunch, unless he's like, what is it, Jason Bourne? Is that's the only way I'm going to believe that Bryan Kohberger did this shit, is that Bryan Kohberger is Jason Bourne. That's it. Because when this shit went down, okay, when this shit went down, all I could think of was, like, in my mind, I tried to make sense of it. When I first heard it, first of all, they didn't know what story they were going to give us. Let's remember this. The beginning, we didn't even know why they died. They told the parents of one of the victims, or the parent of one of the victims was told that this was a gunshot, okay? This was a gunshot by a niece. That's a relative. Are you going to call up your aunt and say to your aunt that her daughter was shot and killed? Are you going to do that? Because I'm not going to fucking do that. I'm not going to do that unless I know that she was shot and killed. It's the only way I'm going to do that, right? So you have to remember this shit, because this is all the shit that they want you to forget about. Because this is how they change narratives. This is how they put lies into the consciousness of the public. Don't let them get away with that shit anymore. Look at the media like it's your fucking spouse. And it's cheating on you. So you have a lot of questions for it. That's the way I look at the media. So we were told by Christy that she was called by her niece and told that they were shot. We were told by other people in the campus and stuff, kids that came out, whatnot, that they thought it was an overdose, a fent overdose. We were told it was a shakedown by Kim, WSU Kim. We were told a bunch of different things, right? In the beginning. A bunch of different things. I didn't know who to look for to see what to read. The people who live in that area probably spilled a lot of fucking tea at that time. But if you don't know their names or their handles, you're never going to find it. And I'm sure they've cleaned it up since then. But the answers were all there in the beginning. There's no way they couldn't have figured out who did this. I remember when it happened. I remember hearing it. I remember automatically thinking, they're not telling us what happened. It's a university. I'm thinking it's some kind of a fent overdose. That's exactly what I thought. I'm like, they OD'd. Because a lot of that shit was happening at that time. We haven't been hearing about it as much. But at that time, that shit was very prevalent in the press. So I was thinking it was that. Then later, we find out that it was a robbery and a murder. And then I'm like, wow, that's really fucked up. And then the first victims' families that we hear from, that I can remember, I believe the first ones I heard from was not the Gonsalves. It was actually the Chapins. And she's talking about, this is not what the rumors say. This is not some bizarre love triangle. Happen to love that song, by the way. Bizarre Love Triangle from New Order. Anyway, she's like, no, this is not what they're saying. Okay. That's weird to me, okay? It's weird because, like in retrospect, because I had never heard anyone say anything about this being a weird love triangle. I only heard Stacy Chapin saying the rumors that this is a weird love triangle are untrue. So that's number one. The first time I heard about a weird love triangle was you, Stacy Chapin. You were the one spreading the weird rumors. So that was weird. Let's just say it. I don't know. Maybe other people had heard the rumors and I'm wrong. Tell me what you think about that. But number two, she also said 2 a.m. is a dark fucking hour, as Tommy would say. R.I.P. Tommy Jude. We're still thinking about you. And we know that you know the fucking truth, Tommy. So maybe you can enlighten some of us down here in this realm. But she said it, the 2 a.m. hour was a dark hour, right? And on Linda Lane, we hear all the bullshit start at 2 a.m. with Ethan. We hear the fucking people. We hear the karaoke, which definitely sounds like Ethan. We hear Xana. Xana sounds like she's having a lot of problems in that Linda Lane video in that first hour. There's all kinds of shit popping off. She's running around, she's crying, she's seeing people. She's trying to tell Ethan not to get into the fight they're beating him into. What's going on here? We hear the truck revving up, running away, terrorizing. That truck is absolutely terrorizing people. When you hear it, if you listen to it, you hear a truck who is absolutely terrorizing people. And guess where the truck goes after it's done terrorizing people? We get to see it show up in that one little piece of evidence that we still don't know who found it. Those girls went on, was it News Nation, and said they found it somehow. But come on, that was like the bank footage. How the fuck did they get that? I heard on 4chan somewhere that Kopaka leaked it. I don't fucking know. The whole thing's weird, but the bottom line is, who do we see? Kaylee, Jack, and Maddie. And what do they say? They're going to get you for that. I told Adam everything, and Jack Showalter, they're going to get you for that. Okay? Now, who is in the back? What's in the background? Oh, we see the same fucking white ass truck that we see on the freeze frame at 1112. I think it's 1112. 1112. That freeze frame that Olivia put out. That same white ass truck that dropped. Did a white truck drop them off? I'm trying to understand. What kind of fucking car? Can they tell us what car dropped the girls off? No, they can't do it. First, it's a fucking red Mustang. I've got the picture. I've shown it. Other people have shown it. We've all dissected the fucking thing. We've got the red Mustang parked in front of like 3 of those frat or sororities. One that's been shut down by the basketball court, or the fuck it is, with guys in hazmat suits, complete hazmat suits. Everything's popped open, and they're fucking walking around. Looks like it's a crime scene. We were told it was nothing. Okay, so we got that. We got the red fucking Mustang. All right? We've got the people being interviewed by the reporter, I think it was News Nation, I don't remember which one, saying that somebody had a red car out there and it was being bleached and all this other stuff. Okay? I think it's in the trailer park area. I think it's when they went to talk to Graydon Lee's people over in that area, like the Graydon Lee thing. Okay? Then that's going on. Sorry, I'm just starting to think. I got a little sidetracked here. But it's just odd, okay? Then what else do we have? Well, so we got that red car. No, it's a red Mustang. It looks like a Mustang that picks them up. Is it red? I don't fucking know. Is it not the red car? Maybe not. Is it a white truck? It sure looks like a white truck was over there whenever they got dropped off. So they got dropped off in a red Mustang and then the white truck. Why can't they just show the fucking camera, the video? You know, the Gonzalez family, the Chapin family, really are the only two families that come out and say anything. And Olivia too. She's coming out hitting hard. And God bless her, because I'd be the same way for my family. I'd be like, shut the fuck up. You guys don't know. But I'm going to tell you something. If you want to squash a lot of the innuendo that's out here, if you want to get rid of all the speculation, if you want people to stop like asking questions that you feel are disrespectful, there's a few easy, simple things that maybe we could get. And if you can't get them, I don't know who can. Okay, but like it does sound like they're having a hard time getting it. But the things that we would like show us the video of the girls arriving home. Show us the video of them getting out of the car and going into the house safely without any bullshit, without any other cars or any other people around. Show us that video. Olivia said she saw it. If you saw it, you still have it. Release it. That will give us one more piece of the puzzle that we can nail down. It's not the only thing we want, but like that would go a long way. Because right now, we have people wondering, including myself, where did these girls get dropped off? Did they actually get dropped off in the driveway? Or were they dropped off down the street? Where we saw what looks like Maddie's coat, which continued to stay there. Even after the police picked it up, looked around the area, they put the fucking coat back on the fire hydrant. Blowing my mind and everybody else's. What the fuck is this? If you're so interested in a certain section by our fire hydrant about what's going on over there, you're looking for shit, okay? Which is also very interesting because that's where people said they saw somebody sitting in the Banfield photo. But if you're so interested in that shit, if you see a black leather coat hanging on a hydrant, are you not taking that for processing? This is the kind of shit that hurts my fucking brain, okay? It makes me go crazy. And I have every right to question that and say there's something fucking wrong. And so do you. If you don't question, you don't have to. Sleep with the fucking visions that what happened is what they said happened. It's not what fucking happened. Clearly, not what fucking happened. Brian Kohberger is not fucking Jason Bourne. Brian Kohberger is a fucking pussy. He calls his mother every fucking day of his life. He's a mama's boy. Holy shit. He sounds like he's got some issues for sure. He's calling his parents not like once a day, which is weird, would be weird enough for someone his age. That far away, like studying criminology. Like he's got his own fucking life, yo. So weird enough to call his mom once a day, but it wasn't once a day. It was like lots of times. It was upset if she didn't call him back. It sounds like maybe his mom really catered to him because he was very unstable in the sense of like emotional, or maybe he had anxiety. I don't know what it is. Okay, I don't know what his deal is. Okay. And I'm not saying like maybe he wasn't a dick to some people, but I'm just not getting a quad murderer when I see this guy. It's just, if you told me one, maybe, but four, he's not fucking Jason Bourne. He's just not. Also, like, you know, just very odd. You know, the other thing that really bothers me? So Kara Northington, Xana's mom, who has been named as one of the sources as to why this happened to a lot of people who follow Pav and Pav himself, because they believe, you know, she was a snitch and Maddie's family was a snitch and snitches get ditches, right? And this is why all this happened, which he's laid out quite a good amount of proof for that. Again, I'm not dissing him. He's very smart. He's got great theory, but I just feel like there's something more going on here, and there's a lot more to the puzzle, and there's too many loose ends. One of the things that bothers me with that theory alone, and you know what, I hate to even criticize it, because I can't, because I don't know it well enough. You know what it is? It just has never resonated with me. It's just never resonated, and I can't say why. I don't know why. And so I'm just being honest when I say it could very well be exactly what happened. It just has never resonated with me as being the truth. So I'm not sure what to make of it. But I respect him and I appreciate all the work he's done, you know, because he's a very smart guy and he's a really good storyteller. Regardless, Kara was, since she went away in prison and when she came out and we all saw her talking, she's a different person, okay? And this happens when you're an addict. This happened to me. I was an addict for many years. I wouldn't say my whole life, but I was an alcoholic, you know? And when I stopped drinking and everything, like even the way I looked kind of changed, you know? Everything changed for me. It made me so much happier. And it opened my third eye. My third eye was not open until I stopped drinking. And it helped. I was able to see and understand so much more without having to spend hours reading about it. It just came to me, you know. And that's what like meditation can do, and that's what you know, being free of addiction can do. So when I saw Kara, she does look well. She looks healthy, and her she says she's, you know, sober, and I love that. The only concern I have, sorry guys, I'm yawning again. The concern I have though is this: her pastor, Kara's pastor, has a very interesting history. And I'm not going to get into it right now, other than to say, if you want to know what I'm talking about, just look up Kara Northington. I'm sure you can easily find her church and the pastor. And then just look up her pastor and look at his history. And then you'll know why it concerns me that that's who is her advisor, her spiritual advisor. Of course it's who her spiritual advisor is. It wouldn't have been anybody else. I should have known, and I should have predicted that this guy would be Kara Northington or anybody else's spiritual advisor in this fucking case, because of how twisted it is. And it has to do with reptiles and aliens. I'm just going to tell you. So, but that's all I'm going to say about it. I don't want to talk about that subject too much because it really flips me the fuck out. And there's a lot behind it. So if you're interested, go look up Kyle Odom. Look up Kara Northington and her current church and her spiritual advisor. Tell me what you think about that. But yeah, back to the things they could give us. So if they gave us the girls arriving at home and going inside, that would be so helpful, right? That would be really helpful. What else could they give us? Well, show us if they've got video of the girls pulling up and getting dropped off, whether it's from their Ring camera or a neighbor's Ring camera, they also have video of the next morning, right? They also have video of the next morning. And I would really like to see that video of that street the next morning. I mean, from like 12 a.m. on, if they could just show us the fucking video of that street and what went on. You know how many cameras exist in that area? There's so many. People, I don't know if they erased them or didn't give them. But when I told you I was in a murder case, we We ended up prosecuting the person. But the way that they caught him was all of the fucking cameras in the neighboring areas. And this was in think about this. This was like 2016. This was like 9 years ago, because it was before rehab. So it's definitely, yeah, it was 9 years ago, at least 9 years ago. People then in 2016, which would be to 2022, it's like 4 years, right? In 2022, you're telling me that those houses didn't have surveillance? They didn't have Ring or any other kind of cameras? Because that's how they caught the guy that we prosecuted, like, running out. Then another camera, like a block down the road, catches him running again. Then it catches him ditching the murder weapon. I mean, it was fucking ridiculous. The cops canvassed that area really well, which is what you're supposed to do. Canvassing really well just means doing your job. They went and knocked on, how many doors the cops in that case that I had must have gone and knocked to get that footage, or the neighborhood turned it in, okay, one or the other, you know? But, like, everybody has surveillance on nowadays. There's no way the only fucking camera they have and the only mic they have is that Linda Lane bullshit that I slaved over and everybody else slaved over, trying to distinguish. Your ears are fucking bleeding trying to hear what they're saying, because you know it means something. It matters. Mr. Gonsalves, Olivia Gonsalves, they're the two most outspoken. Olivia, I would love to talk to. I really would. Even if she wanted to fucking hit me in my face or argue with me or call me names. I would love to talk to Olivia. I respect Olivia. And I believe she's telling the truth. Like, I believe, you know, how she feels is real. And she may think I'm an asshole because I'm questioning all of these things. But she's not stupid. You know, she's not stupid at all. In fact, her family is very, the whole Gonsalves family is very smart. They're very savvy. They're not stupid. They know things like operations exist and the government's corrupt. They know all that. Don't tell me they don't know that. They do. And look at Kaylee. Kaylee was looking into fucking sex trafficking and nearby pedophiles. Kaylee was into I wouldn't be surprised if Kaylee, like, looked at some of the QAnon conspiracies. I would not fucking be surprised. Because some of the conspiracies that QAnon talked about, they weren't really conspiracies. They were just facts that people learned that, like, holy shit, they lied to us. I mean, they sound like they're conservative or Republicans, right? So it wouldn't surprise me with any of that stuff. And I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, I'm just spitting, you know, speculation here. But, like, this family they're no dummies, okay? They're not dumb. And they're wealthy. They're definitely clearly wealthy. If you meet someone and they tell you that their hobby is to go fly fishing in Montana, that person's got money, you know? People don't go fly fishing in Montana that are broke. You got lots of fucking money if you can go fly fishing in Montana, okay? And I'm not saying, like, poor people can't do it. I'm just saying in general. Look it up. Go see how much it would cost to go fly fishing in Montana. It's not cheap, okay? These people are wealthy, okay? They're not just a little wealthy. They're a lot wealthy. Especially the Chapins. Extremely wealthy, the Chapins. Which is why I am going to say I correctly assumed the first time that Stacy Chapin spoke that she had no love lost for Xana Kernodle. I don't believe that family liked Xana at all. And I think that's because Xana came from a family with very little means and lots of drug problems. Now, Xana could have come from a family with means as well, and they had a lot of drug problems. Just because that side of her family is that way doesn't mean all of her family is that way. But, you know, there are certain schools of people out there, the WASPs, I'll call them, who look down very much upon any kind of drug use. Alcoholism's fine. You can drink all the fuck you want if you're a WASP, and they're not going to fault you. In fact, most of them are probably alcoholics. But drugs, marijuana, cocaine, crack, even crushing Adderalls, they aren't going to like that very much. They are not going to. That's that old school fucking white Anglo-Saxon Protestant bullshit. Oh no, they're snobs and they look down on that shit. That's low class shit. Okay? So Xana's got a mother who's in prison, in and out of prison. You think Stacy Chapin approved of Xana? I don't think so. No fucking way. She has a daughter. The Chapins have a daughter who belongs to a sorority that's dry. Okay? Their daughter's sorority is dry. All right? Maisie Chapin sorority, you can't drink. So when they went to the Betty Ball, there was no drinking at the Betty Ball. It's a dry sorority. Unless I'm wrong, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. Then we have the whole scenario with Dylan. And none of that makes sense either, okay? Dylan doesn't really know Kaylee that much. None of them know Kaylee that much. They just call her Maddie's best friend, okay? Kaylee is really just referred to as Maddie's best friend throughout all this shit, all right? But yet, Dylan invited Kaylee to her formal as her +1. I'm going to ask this question because I am ignorant of sororities. Are you allowed to invite the same sex as your +1 to a formal? Is that allowed? I'm going to assume it is because that's what they did. Is that normal? I'd like to know. Is that a slap in the face? Is that something weird? Here's why I'm asking it. Because we're talking about Idaho. I know it's a university and it's liberal. But was there some kind of homosexual undertone that they were trying to play up on and piss people off with? This is just a question. This is not an accusation. I don't know. Maybe it's normal for girls to go with other girls to their formals. I thought formals with fraternities was a big deal where everybody got dressed up like fucking prom and danced and drank and had a good time. I thought that's what formals were in that life, right? And so that's really weird to me if that's what they are, but yet you have Kaylee Gonsalves being invited as a +1, not to a guy, but with a girl. And it's not to her own sorority. It's to another sorority. I don't know. I just feel like that's a lot of fucking shit that's like testing. I feel like you're really testing people with this. And so I feel like there's some kind of fuckery going on with this. And it hasn't been addressed. And I want to know if anybody else noticed that. Because I see a lot of fuckery with it. Okay? To me, it makes no sense. Dylan and her aren't even good friends. Her and Maddie are. She doesn't belong to that sorority. In fact, from all we gather, she's not in her sorority anymore. She left it. Maybe she's not even part of it anymore. Okay? And yet she becomes a +1 of Dylan's. She goes there, according to Dylan, Friday night, but they only stay for an hour. And the first hour, there's no drinking. This is someone who is going there to make a point. You don't go, think about this, because I'm thinking about this. If I was with some guy that I really liked, or some guy fucked me up, like he broke up with me or whatever, and I was upset about it, or I fucked him up, I broke up with him and I humiliated him or whatever. I don't know what the circumstances are, but I want to get back at this guy and show him up, right? Maybe this guy accused me of being a lesbian. I don't know, whatever the fuck it is, right? And he wants to get mad. She wants to show. That's the kind of shit you do. You show up from out of town and go to a formal with a girl of another sorority that you don't belong to. You're there to see somebody. You're there to show your face to somebody or something or some group of people. You're making some kind of a statement here, Kaylee. I don't know what the statement is, but Dylan knows what it was because she invited you. And I'm really curious what that's about. I don't think that's just like a whatever. That doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't think I'm making more out of it than it is. I think it means something. Because her and Dylan weren't even that cool like that. It doesn't make any sense. All right? So that happened. And then Saturday night, we still don't really even know what happened. We still don't even really know what happened. And Bethany sounds like she's on something. Like, she sounds like she could be on some kind of an antipsychotic or an anti-anxiety medicine. I would not fucking be surprised. Because she sounds very blunted. Her affect is very blunted. Meaning she doesn't sound like she has any emotion whatsoever. And to be fair, it's possibly because she is so medicated that she is like unable to mount any response. And that in order to help them, she took some medicine. I mean, I'm just telling you, like, imagine, this is a possibility that you have to consider, okay? I don't know if it's real or not. Maybe she doesn't give two fucks and she's not medicated. I don't know, but it is something that's plausible in my mind. Dylan does not sound medicated whatsoever. Dylan does not sound medicated. She's very much animated when she's being interviewed. From the beginning, Dylan is animated. She wants to get the story out. She wants to tell them exactly what happened. They're not listening to her. Okay? To me, that's a problem. The reason it's a problem is because if someone is dead, or you don't know if someone's dead, or you think someone might be dead, or you think someone's passed out and they're not answering, or you're not sure if they're passed out, any of those scenarios, when you call 911, you let them know those things first. You know that because as a human being with a soul that gives a fuck, you don't need to be told. You know the first thing you got to do. You come upon someone who's laying down. You're like, oh my God, I don't want to look. I'm so scared. And maybe they're dead. I'm not sure. That's what she's saying happened. She ran by them. I don't know what happened. I don't know. I just heard a lot of noise and stuff. And then I just ran by. She was laying there. I didn't see anything. I don't know what happened. That's what she wants us to believe. And they call again, but nobody answers. They don't go and check on them. They want us to believe this is normal. That's not normal. It's not normal. You're scared. You're hiding. That would be normal, but you're not telling us that. Okay? You're not telling us that you're scared and hiding. You were scared and hiding. It's the only fucking reason why you wouldn't call for 8 hours. Unless you were involved. You're either involved and complicit, or you're scared as fuck and you're shutting the fuck up and you're hiding. And that's plausible. It's highly plausible. Bethany, I think, is medicated. I think she's medicated. I think she doesn't know what the fuck is going on. I don't think she wants any part of it. I think she may have kind of gotten some kind of inkling. Dylan knows what's going on. Dylan's very animated. She wants her story out there. She's more interested in telling the 911 caller what she thinks happened to cause a possible person to be dead in her house, or she doesn't even know. She's more interested in telling them what might have happened than to tell her what actually happened. Think about that. Because she doesn't know what happened, because she didn't even go and look. It's a lie. It's that simple. It's that simple. You don't have to look any further. It's a lie. Dylan's lying. Bethany, I don't know. I'm not sure. She's really good. I think Bethany she may be complicit in some senses now because she was present and knows and is keeping her mouth shut for the good of the university and I believe her father's fraternity. Remember, her and her father, there's a picture of her mother, and her father. It's hard to get pictures of her mom. I'm still trying to figure out who her mom is. But her father is also a fraternity member. I think he's fraternity. I have to find the picture. It could be Alpha Kappa Lambda. It could be Delta Tau. It could be Sigma Chi. I'm not sure which one. But her father is a fraternity member. And I wonder if he went to U Idaho or knows Scott Green. Her father knows some very wealthy people. I have a lot of family photos that I've looked into of the Funks or Funkies or however you say their name. And it's a very interesting dynamic going on there in their family. And I can't really figure it out other than to say, you know, she's got a lot of cousins, I think, that look a lot like her that go to that school. I wonder, Jenna McClure, she is very close with Bethany. I don't know if they're... Somebody said Bethany married Jenna's brother. But she's involved. Like, she's somehow got called too. Not that she's involved, but they hang out with some really powerful people. So I'm going to say the Funks hang out with some people who are involved in politics and other things. So, yeah, you know, interesting. I think Bethany, I know one of my, I know Eric Pascal said this, and I think he's right. You know, I think they called their parents that morning, and their parents told them what to do. They might have even told them to clean up. I don't know. It's really fucking weird. But I think it has to do with the fraternities and the sororities and the university. And I think the university knows. And I think things were cleaned up. I don't think, I know. We know shit was clean. It's not I think, I know. And that's another thing that, Olivia, I would love for you to speak on. Did you see the kitchen? Did you see after they put the Amito Black on there? I don't want to hear that that's not blood. I'm just curious, you know. So anyway, these are all the enigmas, open-ended questions, all the shit that we still don't know, the shit that still fascinates us about this case. Will we ever know the answers to this? Probably not. But yeah, I'm still interested in continuing to try. And, you know, this thing has just become such a big, it's an entity all in of itself. It's like I think they call it an egregore or egregore. I forget the name of it. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's what's up, and hopefully talk to you soon. You know, the Mercury retrograde is fucking up all the live streams, and so I pre-recorded this one so that hopefully the sound is good. Love you guys. Peace.